Well, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough to be doing it to, I'm Bushka on Blitz, and this is the second installment of the IS-4 video. Now, I thought this needed 2 installments because the original review I did for the IS-4 featured heavily on the side scraping angle of the tank, no pun intended, and I wanted to showcase just a little bit of how tough a nut this tank can be to crack if you play it correctly. Now, that in mind, I'm not going to go through the gun stats and everything like that. We've already done that in part 1 of this video. I just want to highlight some situations I had on a recent live stream where I was driving it. In this game with Shamaquah and in the second game with Snake Eyes, you can see Cham's pushed up quite hard there, and I am going to side scrape off the angle here and try and get shots primarily in that 62A. You're going to see an awful lot of shots come in. I'm going to get my tracks done quite a bit, and I'm going to take some big damage shots actually. They're from the HE of the Jagdpanzer E100. He gets one that I consider to be quite a lucky HE shot, which you'll see in a tick. But there's a lot of tier 10 tanks down there, and we are still putting in effective damage while being a fully visible target without resetting camo. We're side scraping an awful lot of shots, and we're holding 4 to 5 tanks there while the rest of the team dillies about with 2 tanks on the left-hand flank. We're going to get this T62A as well. Have a look at the HE shot I cop here, though, from the Jagdpanzer E100, coming up right about now. This is incredible. This is high explosive, and he takes a huge wad of my hit points. There's no way he's penetrating through there. I don't know what he hit to do that much damage, but that's just about the most HE damage I've ever taken from a TD in this tank. And I'm glad I caught it on film because that is a massive big dose of the good stuff. And you can see we have managed to successfully hold pretty much the biggest, most important segment of their team here with the 2 of us, just myself and Sham. Sham in the Russian med and me in the veritable concrete wall of Stalin. And then we smack that little fella there. There's a 54 goes past. Unfortunately, Sham is going to get hammered there. He did a yeoman's job in the 62A, just holding and spotting those boys, and we really did maximize the IS-4's side scraping ability. Now you can see what I'm talking about there is how tough it is. We're also going to have an encounter here with an FV215B 183. Now this was on a live stream, and I was playing. Now I've got rid of the chatter because there's a lot of inane chatter that goes on in the live streams, and you don't need to hear about it here. But basically, I'm now going to set up my next side scrape off this wall with the 183 over there and put shots into him. Now, this tank is so strong, but where it's strongest is those parts of the armor you can see that are being exposed there. The side plates on this thing are absolutely superb, and we're just clearing out that little bit of rubbish there so we can look across, because I am not going out anywhere near that 183. It's just, I'm very, very gun shy at the moment, because you saw what the Jagdpanzer E100 did to me with a bit of high explosive, and I'm quite stressed about what might be able to be done to me with a bit of hesh. So we're getting shots in the side of that 183. He turns very awkward. You're going to see a couple of things here. The 183 has very poor gun depression. It's a rear turreted tank. So if you can get up really close to it at quite a steep angle and turn suddenly, you can create all kinds of odd situations and they will struggle to penetrate you. You can see he can't get the gun all the way down there to the lower glacis at all. So what we're doing is just turning the tank, constantly changing the angle so that he's not got any easy shots, and then we'll reverse it back out and get a shot through his very weak side armor. I've mentioned before that this tank is like an IS-6, and it really is. The armor is not in the numbers. The armor is in the angles. Your side plates are super thick, not to the extent of a KV4's, but exceptionally strong side plates. And you can see we got a steel wall there and got over 4.5k damage. Again, like this tank, for a tank that doesn't have huge DPM numbers, you can put it in situations where it will just soak up hits and then turn around and counterpunch. And it's one of the best counterpunching heavies you are going to find in the game because it can put itself in harm's way and live to tell the tale. Now this is with Snake Eyes, and we are in a very interesting combo. The 215B is super soft but has an absolutely glorious, gorgeous gun. I'm not very good with the tank. I fully acknowledge that. And if you've watched my 215B review, you'd know that. I understand that it's an excellent tank. I'm just not good at driving it. I struggle in rear-mounted tanks. We have a team that is predominantly hanging out. We've got 3 big guns hanging out in respawn, which is not the way we want to go forward. And the enemy has a couple of 60% players in plat and a 64% player in the pattern. So we know that we're up against it here. And what we're doing is just like we did last game. I'm going to play the big bloke who stands there at the front this time and takes shots, and Snake Eyes is going to play the super strong gun at the back, taking every opportunity to either reset cap or pour in damage per minute on unsuspecting enemies. And you can see that T110E5, he's coming across, no worries whatsoever, and we're pulling back. Now this area here is fantastic for the IS-4. As you're going to see at the IS-4 that pops up on my left here, you've got a very, very weak frontal armor profile. And that's fine, that we're not exposing that. This guy is, and he cops one for his troubles. We've also got a very weak area on top of the gun where the top of the turret is, the hatch. If people can fire down on that, it's very easy to pen with high caliber, high explosive. So this grassed area with the knoll in front that covers the turret and lets us side scrape off on either side is excellent. Unfortunately, this Object 140 is going to push forward and make me move back. And I'm going to cop one as I turn my turret for my troubles, but he's going to get one in his side as he pushes out and looks for a shot. In fact, he's going to get double tapped, I think. So you can see now we've had to move and relocate again, but another great factor, the IS-4 is a really low slung tank, so it's quite easy to get this tank behind things and not give shots to people on the other sides of small hills. For all intents and purposes, it's like the area around the cap doesn't even exist for me at the moment. They can't hit me from there, and I'm more or less in a super safe position, and that Jagdpanzer E100 is going to have to move up. Now I can side scrape off this hill, I can push up, I can do whatever is needed. There's an Object 704 there. And you can see I'm just giving him angles, nothing but angles. And I've got the 215B behind me. Snake Eyes is driving the 215B, and he's certainly doing the business. And now they're starting to push up. They've found the shots there. They're getting up on top of that little bit of a hill, and I sit still for just a second, and they get one into me. So things are looking pretty dire. We've had a whole bunch of guys. You can see 4 TDs in our team there have been hanging out at the back all around that area, and they're finally pushing up. But we've got some big dogs. They're starting to feel the heat too. That Jagdpanzer 100, he's coming up. There's a tiny little area on top of the hatch, which you probably saw from the last game where I like to sneak pens in on the Jagdpanzer 100. They've got a little air vent on top of the roof. When you're up close and personal, they sometimes stop moving long enough for you to get a hit on it, and it's a very, very easy pen. You can see there we're going to get that right there. We missed the second attempt at it, but we do give him enough there to go onwards. Now, I'm very lucky at the moment. I'm playing with a platoon mate who's got a great gun and knows how to use it, and he is behind us, and every time someone pokes their head around that corner, Snake Eyes in the 215B is punishing him, and there he goes. He tracks that Jagdpanzer 100, gives me a super easy shot through the drive wheel, and we're pushing up, and we've basically held another flank in the IS-4. That's what it's great at. If you know how to drive this thing, if you can find bits of terrain and objects, rubble, buildings, hills, boxes, whatever that hide its weaknesses, you can hold back the sea. It's a fantastic tank for holding a line and playing against other heavies, because it's got reliable side armor that you can just flog around the place and take shots. Now those consecutive games, just like the games with Hoodie in the first one were consecutive games, and in all of them we've done fairly well, both in terms of the result and in the damage done. So if you drive this tank like I did there, if you set it up in positions where it can succeed, you're going to absolutely love it. As always, we've just set up bushkaonblitz.com. Go along there, www.bushkaonblitz.com, and check everything out. It's fantastic, and there is a special section there for patrons and sponsors that's going to be going up in the next couple of weeks with some particularly lovely map reviews and things that they're going to get into as preferred clients of the channel. I don't know what you'd call them, but they've been supporting the channel, and they're a huge part of the reason why I'm able to do this and produce content for everyone, is because those guys dip their hands in their pockets and give me a hand with paying the bills on a week-to-week basis. I love you all, though. You're all fantastic human beings, and I hope you're enjoying the flood of content. It's going to continue. We're going to keep churning videos out one day at a time. Look forward to seeing you out there on the battlefield. Bye for now.